Hi Jacqui, how are you? We're delighted
Good.
to welcome you to the Her Sport Show.
Thanks a million for having me.
So you are obviously a sports presenter and broadcaster, but we're here to talk all things golf. So KPMG have just announced that they will become the sponsor of the KPMG Women's Irish Open for the next 3 years. So tell us a bit about that.
Yeah, it's hugely exciting. I think the fact that KPMG have been involved in women's sport over the last couple of years, I think they've seen the commitment that they've put in here. And I'm delighted that they're doubling down on this and bringing golf to the Irish public, because I think given that we haven't had the Irish Open here for 10 years, I think there's a whole generation of golf fans who haven't even had the exposure to it from a female side of things. We've seen the success that our male golfers have had. I think it's just going to give the Irish public a more tangible feeling with some of the Irish female golfers. So I, for one, I'm really excited about what's going to happen later this year.
Absolutely. So there's a couple of names to be watching out for. So who would be the top Irish golfers you'd be looking out for this year?
Oh, well, I think people will have watched what Leona Maguire has done for Irish golf just on the global stage, even playing in the Solheim Cup team. And I think just having it on TV and the visibility of that and what Leona has gone on to do since then, even getting her first tour win, she's definitely put Irish golf on the map. I think the great thing is that it hasn't just been Leona, like even just watch Stephanie Meadows and the way that she's continuously growing on the tour. She had, okay, albeit it didn't work out for her in the very end, but she really put herself right into contention last weekend again. I think Olivia Mehaffey is definitely going to have a really strong career. And like there's a whole pile of amateur golfers who are coming through the ranks as well, who have watched them. And I think, like, you know, even when I was younger, we just didn't really have that kind of success from an Irish golf point of view. So for young golfers now to look at the likes of Olivia and Stephanie and Leona and say, yeah, I can chase this dream. And it's a reality for them now to want to become a professional golfer, where maybe that wasn't even there 10 years ago. And I think that's hugely exciting.
Yeah, and it's something we actually spoke to Stephanie about recently, was about being a professional golfer and what that entails. And there can be so much opportunity for young athletes to get in that sport. In terms of the partnership, it's obviously a 3-year partnership, and what you mentioned there was that it hasn't been going on for 10 years. So how important is this partnership for the sport?
It's huge, because I think it's the platform that it gives it to grow. You know, look, the commitment is there that KPMG are going to be there for 3 years. I think they themselves have watched the exposure and the landscape that they've had in golf in general, and they've seen how much it's grown. I think that it's only going to take golf to a whole new level in Ireland. I think just the ability for people to go to Dromoland and watch stars of world golf in action, not just Irish golf, I think is going to just really, really give the Irish public a chance to see something that they haven't seen before. And look, you know, I suppose the tagline of "can't see it, can't be it" is often used, but that is genuinely what's going to happen here, because we haven't seen this before. You know, like you think about, if you're 10 years old in Ireland, this is the first time you're ever going to have seen an Irish women's golfer playing professionally in Ireland in a tournament. So I think I'm excited for what it is for a generation of kids, but I'm excited for the generation of adults as well, who really, I suppose, over the last number of years have watched a lot of Irish male golfers succeed and getting a huge platform, massive visibility on TV week in, week out. I would love to see that happen for our female golfers. And yes, like Leona and Stephanie are on TV, but a lot of the time it's for an American audience. This is an Irish audience. It'll be happening and a time zone that really suits us. And the tickets are priced in a way that it's really going to encourage people to go. And I think, like, I hope that is going to have an impact, that, you know, people are really going to buy into this thing and they're really going to enjoy a couple of lovely days in Clare.
Yeah, and obviously, like, golf is something that Irish people are very passionate about. So it'd be great to, see people down supporting the women's side of things, see what's going on, and obviously see that talent, because, you know, we've been watching Leona for a long time, and she does get that media exposure. And now you're talking about, Stephanie and Olivia, and there's so much more talent in there. In terms of the other athletes, the non-Irish athletes, who are some athletes to watch out for?
Well, look, it really depends on what kind of a field they can assemble. I think anybody who watched the Solheim Cup will see that there's a lot of big European names out there, and it'd be fabulous to see some of them come. I'm sure Leona will be talking to a few of them and seeing how many she can talk into making the trip, because I think anybody who's watched Irish golf, like, I think sometimes people forget that you look at the courses that are in Ireland, and they're doing a spectacular job on the course in Dromoland. But I think, like, on a global scale, anybody who watches Irish golf and sees what it looks like on the television, they're often saying, God, I'd love to go there, and I'd love to play there, I'd love to play there. Just holiday makers wanting to come here and play golf. So I don't think they're going to be short of big caliber names who want to come. Like, all the field will be announced throughout the summer. But I think they'll get big names, because I think the fact that it's going to become a piece of the European Tour, obviously lots of people will be playing for points as well. But I do think the fact that it's in Ireland and it hasn't been there, and we've seen what has happened with Irish golf because of Leona in particular over the last year, I definitely think that's going to strengthen the field, which will be a great thing.
And we're starting to see the culture change more and more within golf. How do you think this will help push things forward and maybe change people's opinions on the sport?
Yeah, I think this could be massive, because look, I mean, let's not forget that there's, still a long legacy issue with golf, where we've had, clubs where they won't even allow female members, and like that kind of thing just stayed for too long. Whereas I think golf now is really in a place that has been promoting equality for a couple of years. I think you've seen that with the TV deals that are being done, that there's more and more exposure being given to women's golf. And I think it's because the product is so good as well. Like, anybody who watches it will see that it has been phenomenal over the last couple of years in particular. Just the ball striking has been really amazing. The growth of the game, the strength of the players, the way that they are able to just hit the ball with just such class is really a sight to behold. And I think anybody who does go out and watch them in the flesh will see it. Watching it on TV and watching it in real life are two very, very different scenarios. But having been up close and personal and seeing the way some of these women hit the ball is off the charts. It really is. So hopefully lots of people get out and watch it. But I do think something like this is going to take it to a whole new level again.
Yeah, no, I think the exposure that it'll give for fans across the board, whether it's young people or whether it's adults, will be huge. Tell us a bit about your love for golf.
Yeah, it's funny. I was looking for something to take up after stopping playing camogie, and I thought, sure, I have the swing. I'll throw it up there and lash the ball down and I'll be grand. It's actually finding the finesse, I think, really is the difficulty of my game. But I'm loving it, I have to say. I was looking for something that I could play until I'm old, really, and the one thing that I love about golf is that there's no such thing as like a silly question. Like, I often still play up, and I'm a member in Dunleary in Dublin, and I would be learning something new every week and consistently asking questions. And I love that. And I love that somebody who's like me, still, a relative beginner, can play with somebody who's a scratch golfer, and you can actually play a competition and everybody can get something out of it. And there's not a lot of sports like that, because even if you go away on holidays and you're playing tennis against your partner, it's still not exactly equal, because you can't handicap it the way you can do with golf. So anybody can play against each other. And I have to say, I really love that element of it. I like the competitive streak of it. I like that there's something that I can aim at. I've often laughed with some of my friends and said I have a target of being a single handicapper by the time I'm 50, which is thankfully still a good way away yet, but it's nice to have goals. I don't know how realistic it'll be, but I like to give myself a challenge, and it's definitely something that I'm going to work on.
And in terms of the opportunity for women, and you're talking about walking away from camogie and starting a new sport, and it really is that lifelong sport. Like, you see people playing for years and years. How welcoming is it for women? How easy is it to get involved in it? What would your steps to trying it out? What would they be for if you're giving advice to people?
Yeah, do you know what? Here's the funny thing. I started in a society in Leopardstown on my own, and I was really afraid of, oh God, like, is it going to be really stuffy? Am I going to make any friends? Is it going to be really difficult? Will they laugh at me when I like fresh air the ball? All of the fears that every single person who thinks about golf, that is exactly the way I felt. And it was the complete opposite, actually. Like probably the most surprising experience I've had in sport, because you and I know, if you go into a team sport environment, you're going to find somebody, it's going to be okay, it's going to be natural, you'll be grand. Individual sports are a bit different, because you don't really have that camaraderie of a team where it settles you in a little bit easier. So you can be really nervous about how it's going to go. But what I loved about golf was that, particularly if you are somebody who's thinking about starting off, I would highly recommend go to a society and start that way, because it's really gradual. There's lots of beginners. you're going to make loads of mistakes, you're going to learn lots of rules, and it's really, I found that really, really helpful, but really welcoming as well, and actually a really nice soft landing into a completely new sport, because I never played golf. Like, I was not a young person who went playing pitch and putt at the weekends. I never picked up a golf club until I was in my 20s, so this has been a completely new revelation for me, that I found a sport in my 30s now that I really, really love. I didn't expect it at all. I'm still playing basketball, but like, those years are dwindling away before me, and getting to play a competitive sport at that level is not going to be there for much longer. So golf to me is going to be a really competitive thing that I want to continue for the rest of my life, and it's been great. But for people who may think, oh, I don't know if that would be for me, I would say give it a go, because it's so much more crack than I ever thought was possible.
Yeah, no, definitely. I think there's a lot of our audience will have maybe been involved in, sports at different times, and maybe have walked away from them and might reconsider trying golf at this stage. And maybe you'll have turned a few heads to get them to go down and try it out, if you're saying that there is a bit of crack, and it is welcoming for people. But hopefully for any young people, or maybe parents as well, that it is a sport that they don't necessarily write off for girls, and that they do get out and try it.
Yeah, totally. And you know what? That's actually something, Niamh, that I never considered when I was a kid, because sometimes you're kind of dictated, particularly as a girl, by what your school does. So if you go to an all-girls school and hockey's really big, or basketball's really big, which it was in my school, you kind of just gravitate towards that, because that's the sport that's there. Whereas like golf to me was like, I just thought it was a sport for posh people, like really, that was but I was totally wrong. Like, it just was I suppose in your head, that's kind of what you're thinking. Whereas like, actually now when I look at the landscape, like it's a skill I'd love for my kids to have. So I would say to parents, just try to be broad-minded, whether that's golf or any other sport as well, but just to kind of look outside the boundaries, because it's not often something that you'll find on your doorstep. Whereas I think now with golf, God, it's in every area of the country. So if you, and by the way, also crucially, something that your family can do together, which again, playing soccer with your kids is great for a while until somebody gets thick, but golf definitely allowed us all to play calmly.
You can keep the temperature down a little bit.
Correct.
With golf, is it?
Correct. Yeah.
In terms of the opportunity for women in golf, like it is changing. Like, there's potential to go pro. It's on television. The prize money is increasing. Obviously, we've seen Leona play the Solheim Cup. So the sky is the limit now at this stage. Yeah,
I think so. I really do. And like, look, I hope that what people see is an attempt to change the game here, because like, look, you can bring something to these shores and it doesn't work, and people will still commend you for trying to make it happen. I think what Golf Ireland, what KPMG, what Dromoland Castle, like, I think trying to bring an event of real purpose to this country is what everybody's behind. This is not just Irish, we'll give it a go and see. Like, I think there's a real commitment there to want to actually make this something tangible that's going to be there ad infinitum, that this is not going to be something that disappears off the Ladies European Tour again in another 10 years. I think people just genuinely have a real commitment. And Golf Ireland have been really strong on this as well, that their Women in Golf program that they've been running for a number of years has become really successful. They've got loads of young players who are girls, and they are genuinely showing them pathways that they could never show them before. And I think that's really, really encouraging. So I would hope that the ceiling on this thing is, so high that we haven't even thought about it yet. And look, I think we've seen this with some other sports. All it takes is one moment to change a landscape for a generation of kids. Like the Irish hockey team, their success in 2018 changed the game for a whole new group of young hockey players. You can see what that has meant, and it has transcended the amount of players who are now engaged in the game. I think when this Republic of Ireland women's team qualifies for a major tournament,
I like the when,
and it's a matter of when, and it's very soon. Like it could be now, and if it's not this tournament, it's the next tournament. Like, I'll eat my words if that isn't the case, but I genuinely believe there's something magic happening with this team.
Yeah, they're very good.
And that's going to change a generation. And I think golf will be the same. I think if kids can get down and watch their heroes in action, I really think this could be a massive moment for Irish golf.
Yeah, look, in terms of KPMG's commitment to paving the way and changing it, like obviously they've been a sponsor of Leona Maguire for quite some time. They recently announced Rachel Blackmore. They're involved with Dublin Ladies Gaelic football team. Like, they are demonstrating their commitment to women's sport. I think the last question I have for you, what are your final predictions for the Open, if you have some?
Oh God, it's too soon to know who's going to be in good form by then. I guess my predictions are that we are going to get a magnificent tournament. I hope that we are going to get the weather to match it, because if Ireland looks good on TV, like that's great for
Everyone will be
everybody involved. I think everyone will be coming, and that's great for everyone involved. I guess my biggest hope is that we have a strong global field, and I think they're doing their very best to attract as many of them as they can. And I think KPMG being involved definitely helps that, because they're obviously involved in big global major golf tournaments, and that definitely helps having their weighting in behind this. I think everybody wants this to be a success, and if they can get the male golfers to buy into this, to try to really help to push it as well, I think that'll be great. And then attracting all the biggest Irish stars, I think if we can get them all there and really wanting to win this thing, yeah, I think it could be really special. So I have no idea who's going to win it, but I'm definitely going to enjoy the journey.
We'll have to touch base with you closer to time. So
for sure. All I'm looking forward to, Niamh, is the Pro-Am. And between now and then, I'm going to practice so hard that I won't make a holy show of myself at it. And then we can all have a bit of crack. But yeah, look, I really think it's going to be magic.
Yeah, I think it's certainly something that people are very excited for. And a lot of people are hearing of the Irish stars, but they haven't got to see them in person. So I think there'll be a lot of people going down to see them. I would say Leona Maguire's name is a household name, across the country. So there'll be a lot of people coming out to see her, and then also, for Olivia and for Stephanie as well. So, look, there's lots more than just the three of them. And as you said, there'll be a lot of international stars coming to grace our island. So, it'll be very exciting. I suppose for people that are interested, tickets for the tournament are on sale and can be purchased at www.womensirishopen.ie. So. I'm looking forward to it. I know you are, as a big golf fan, but thanks so much for taking the time to chat to us on the Her Sport Show. And we look forward to catching up soon.
Thanks a million for having me. Cheers.